What's up, guys? Mr. Blacksmith, Team Blacksmith, folks on my channel. Oh, we got a good one tonight. It's that Bul Armory SAS 2 UR, the ultimate racer, is on deck, so stay tuned.
Canvas.
Like a super affordable race gun. You said, like what's the SRP on this guy?
36.
36.
The other ones are way above that.
I mean, and have you been shooting it a little bit?
No, it's first shots.
Okay.
First shots.
Well, I mean, so far it seems to run.
Oh yeah.
Let's try it out with the major ammo here.
9 major.
That is definitely major.
Alright guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the range footage, but before I get started, I want to give a huge shout out to my man Brian at Shoot Indoors in King of Prussia, my local range where I do all my gun reviews and test shooting of some pretty amazing guns. So big ups to Brian, we really had a good time shooting the Bul Armory SAS 2 UR, the ultimate racer. So big shout out to the humble marksman for coining that phrase, the ultimate racer. I wish I could do it like him. Very impressive. So big shout out to him as well. And I tell you, there are a lot of race guns out there, and I have quite a few in my collection, but none so futuristic looking than the Bul Armory SAS 2 UR. I'm telling you, Bul Armory really broke the mold when it comes to designing something so aesthetically pleasing, and just the overall weight, trigger pull, and everything else that we're going to be looking into at the tabletop review, where I'm just going to break this down and show you everything that Bul Armory has packed into this. And I tell you, for the value, now this is coming below $4,000, way below $4,000. And the ones that I do have in my collection, the race guns that I do have, all 4,000 and above. Now, this is not an entry-level race gun. This is everything that a race gun should be, can be, and is. At this price point, it's really hard to come close to Bul Armory. Now, they have different ones out there. Of course, they have the UR Shorty, which they don't make anymore, and of course, the UR. And they have the URF, the full size, and the Ballesteros. And of course, they're coming out with the Spitfire pretty soon. May take a look at that when that gets released. But Bul Armory is really tough to beat when it comes to overall design and price point of all their guns. And I tell you, the race guns are no exception. Now, race guns, I'm a huge fan of them. Love them in my collection. I run them once in a while. Still have to master them. But there's nothing that shoots like a race gun when it comes to competing. Now, all these race guns are pretty much like the best guns out there. It only comes down to aesthetics, the ergonomics of it that really sets these apart. But with regards to performance, they're all on par with each other. Some edge out some with regards to speed, accuracy, and then tell you the balance and the weight of the SAS 2 UR really sets itself apart in comparison to the ones I have in my collection. Being safe, all clear, and I tell you, this trigger is phenomenal. Ugh. Reset. I'm telling you, when I do the trigger pull weight on this, it will blow your mind. I'm telling you. And everything about this is just sweet. Very nice. I'm really in love with the Bul Armory. Now, doesn't compare to Infinity. Doesn't compare to Atlas. Doesn't compare to Masterpiece Arms. Yes, yes, yes. It checks off all the boxes. Now, when it comes to value, that's where everyone falls short. Bul Armory has set the price point at a level where I don't think anyone can come close to. But I'm a big fan. Good job, Bul Armory. Love you guys. I'm still a Bul Armory fan. I'm still a fan of all the race guns, but it's just something about the Bul Armory that sets itself apart. All right, so we're going to do a quick tabletop review, break it down, take a look at it, and I'm come back with my final thoughts and opinion on the Bul Armory Ultimate Racer. All right, humble marksman, thank you very much for coining that phrase. All right, so stay tuned. All right, guys, quick tabletop review of that Bul Armory SAS 2 UR, and I love the case that it comes in. Love the hard case. Soft cases are okay, but you got to respect when they give you a nice hard case for their guns. And let's open it up. And Bul Armory always comes with a goodie bag, and I do appreciate them for what they put in there. So first and foremost, it comes with 3 additional recoil springs. Now, it already comes installed with a 9-pound recoil spring, but they give you an 8-pound, another 9-pound recoil spring, and also a 10-pound recoil spring. So depending on the load that you shoot, you may want to adjust your recoil spring, and they give you that option. So beautiful job. So big ups to them on that. And what else you get? Some patches, of course, the manual. Always read the manual. And what else here? Another relevant thing is additional thumb rest. So depending on your grip, this one has your thumb extends out just a little bit more, but I do prefer the one that's on there where it has your thumb sitting up a little higher. But that is a goodie bag. Gotta love them. You don't have to go searching for recoil springs or any real additional parts to help with your grip and recoil management of your race gun. And let's take a look at what we have here with the UR. First, 2 27 plus 1 round magazines, and of course for USPSA competitive shooters, yes, beautiful, gotta love it. Now you do need, in my opinion, 2 more, but the cost of some of these magazines, especially the big sticks as we like to call them, are very expensive, so putting 2 in there is a big deal. Now, of course, you can purchase other magazines from their site, or you can go with MBX magazines. They do have compatible Bul magazines to fit their race guns and also all the other guns that Bul Armory has. Now, let's take a look at this beauty. Put the box aside. And first and foremost, all clear, working in a safe and controlled environment. There's no ammunition in this workspace. All right, so let's take a look. Top to bottom, you get the aluminum magwell, polymer grip, aluminum frame and slide, of course, ambidextrous shielded thumb safeties, skeletonized hammer. You get that optic plate for the RTS2 from Seymour, one of the best competition optics out there on the market. And you get that slide racker. The action is just amazing. And the one thing I did notice about the barrel, it's about an inch longer than my other race guns. And they're all the same size, but this is the one thing that differs from the other ones. So this one extends out just a little bit farther. And I do like that difference, and I can actually feel it when I shoot it. Of course, you get the quad comp there. And one cool thing about this, how they removed a lot of the slide to reduce the reciprocating mass. So putting those windows in there and putting their SAS 2 tag in there, very nice touch. And as you can see, the thumb rest, I do prefer this one. Puts my thumb at a higher angle. I do prefer that. And of course the slide racker, which is removable. As you can see from the range footage, I had this on the other side. But you can see some of the case that were coming out the ejection port was hitting the slide racker and bouncing forward. So that could potentially cause a problem. Of course, with a stovepipe, if the shell hits the slide racker, it could actually bounce back in there. So I did have that happen once or twice at the range when I was shooting this with the 9 major and also with the 9 minor, the 136 grain, and of course 9 major and 124 grain. But again, overall, this is an amazing performing open race gun, and I tell you, this is not a low-end race gun in any sense of the word. This is like top tier in my opinion. Just the build, slide to frame fit is definitely there. Little gaps, but no movement whatsoever. And just the unique design of it. Like I said, very futuristic. To say the least, this is something like out of Star Wars, Buck Rogers, the Enterprise, you name it. This one just really very unique in every sense of the word. Of course, you get the extended mag release, and the action on this is just simply amazing. But let's get into the trigger. Now, first, let you see the trigger. Very light pressure. Nice reset. All right, so we're gonna weigh out this trigger, and I'm telling you, this is right out the box. And now that is a sub 1.5 pound trigger pull, and that is absolutely amazing coming out the box like that. So encore on that trigger pull. See this again. Again, sub 1.5 pounds trigger pull. Now, Bul, you really outdid yourselves with this, hands down. Of course, the pin grip safety, which always should be with any gun now. It's no point of having a functional grip safety, especially when it comes to competition guns. Now, the polymer grip is very nice. I wish they would go with an aluminum grip at some point. Hopefully they will. But the polymer grip, it's not slipping out of your hands. I do like it. I do like the ergonomics of it. The one thing I do have an issue with is the double undercut. In previous guns, my Bul Armories, when my finger goes under there, it really digs into the knuckle. So I'll probably wind up smoothing it out, rounding that off. But again, that really hurts after a couple of draws, especially when you're competing. Locking in your grip really digs into the knuckle. Not a huge fan of that. But let's see. So let's break it down, take a look at it. So I already loosened up the slide racker, which you can move from one side to the other. And let's take her apart here. Put that out. Oh, I have to get something here. There we go. A little further out there. All right. All right, so as you can see here, machining very nicely done. Love how they just machined all this. Of course, some safeties and everything else. Nicely done. But the one big thing I'm a huge fan of, and as you can see, I have no pin out, and you got that toolless guide rod. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. And of course, the barrel here, very nicely done. Gotta love the machining of the comps and everything else. And the barrel, not anywhere whatsoever. I put around 400 rounds through this. 9 major, I put around 200. And of course, the 9 minor, I put around another 200. So, like I said, the coating on here, very nicely done. No wear whatsoever on the coating. Also on the inside, as much as I can show it there. So big ups to them on the coating. Very nicely done. And of course, that toolless guy rod, which always should just be what people are doing. When they put price tag over $3,000 on these guns, it has to come with a toolless guy rod. Come on. Like I said, that's a real stickler for me, not having a toolless guy rod on these guns, especially at these price points. But again, in comparison to the other race guns out there, this is the one you may want to go with to save you anywhere from $500 all the way up to $6,000 when purchasing a race gun. This is not a bad one to get started with at all. You know, this is probably the best one out there. Like I said, Bul Armory is really tough to beat when it comes to the price point and the quality of their race guns. And putting this back together here. Yeah, put that pin in there. We get that in there the first time. There we go. All good. And last but not least, I will just put the slide racker in there. Easily done there. Back in business. All right, so that is the tabletop review of the Bul Armory SAS 2 UR. And like I said, this is one amazing race gun. So if you're looking to get into this, check them out before they go fast. They really go fast. So as soon as they're posted, like me, people scoop them up as soon as they get put out. So stay on top of your email alerts and check out the Bul Armory SAS 2 UR. All right, so that's it for the tabletop review. My final thoughts and opinions on the SAS 2, so stay tuned. All right, guys, tabletop review is done, and what can you say? The ultimate racer is just that gun that's really tough to beat. And like I said, when it comes to competing, I will be jumping back into the open class next year. I got to get a lot more time behind a lot of these race guns, especially the Bul Armory UR. It's going to be on the top of the list next to my Atlas Chaos and also my Infinity 38 Super Comp. But everything that comes with this at this price point is just extraordinary. You cannot go wrong with going with Bul Armory. Like I said, ran my 9mm 124 grain major ammo through this, and like I said, it took it like a champ. No failures, other than me having the charging handle on the other side. As you can see, some of the rounds was bouncing off the charging handle, and I had to switch it back over. I just had a real bad experience with the charging handle on the side, and my thumb. Could have been a really bad day, but thank God it wasn't that bad. But like I said, other than that, this is just that race gun out there that cannot be overlooked. And again, the other ones out there, and especially the Spitfire that's coming out pretty soon, definitely will be taking a look at that. But don't sleep on the Bul Armory SAS 2 UR if you're looking for a race gun. You know, this is the price point that you can get into without breaking the bank. Again, still expensive, $3,500, depending on where you get it from, but directly from their site. If they're in stock, yes, check them out. You won't be disappointed. Check out their entire lineup of race guns, double stack 1911s, you name it. Bul Armory checks off a lot of boxes. And again, the UR is just that race gun you can get into and compete on a high level. But again, their ergonomics, you definitely have to get a lot of training with these race guns with regards to the grip, the gas pedal or thumb rest. That really takes extra training to get used to maintaining your grip with that thumb rest like this. But overall, the race guns are just the guns to have. So great addition to my collection. Looking for one more race gun that just completes the whole set. So be on the lookout for one more coming into the picture hopefully by my birthday in October. But alright, so that's it. So let me know, drop some comments. Let me know what you think about the Bul Armory SAS 2UR and all the other race guns that's out there, and even the ones you may have in your collection. Let me know how you think it stacks up against the SAS 2UR. Alright, so this is Mr. Blackson, Team Blacksmith. As always, like, share, subscribe, join the team. I'm out.